Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. Licensed lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island Licensed Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Throwing jabs, always full send. Here we go again. Jared, Joe, and Jay's Clover Crest, top three corner man, punching in with a puncher's chance. We find a way to win. The main event, locked it in every Saturday at 10. The overhand is out of hand when it comes to fisticuffs. Slide a hand on the undercard, you'll never see the punch. Uppercut got you missing weight, feet are stepping late. Keep your guard up, feeling faint from a feint. Take a standing eight, then retaliate. Put up your duke, stick and move, bob and weave. Don't lose hope against the ropes, there's always an escape. Never stay down. One more round, bells ringing, counter punch with your chin tucked and go down swinging. We bring in crosses with no worship, hooks with no verses, combinations with no locks. When you feel the flurry, it's curtains. From scrub scraps to fight stats, relax if you want the facts, cause the best combat podcast is Throwing Jabs.
Welcome to Throwing Jabs, the CMG Sports Podcast. I'm Joe Aguirre along with Jared Jones. Wow. Last weekend, very exciting fight. A lot of people had high hopes for Juliana Pena, who took a pretty good beating from Amanda Nunes. Not as bad, according to her, as first reported. There was a rumor, Jared, that she'd lost a chunk of her forehead. Not as bad as was described, but this was afterwards too, Jared. I don't know if you saw.
That's a three-head then, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what she was left with. After the fight, Amanda Nunes said, I didn't want to finish her. I wanted to beat her brains in for 5 rounds and prove. Now, I don't know if I buy that necessarily, but I will say this, and you know how I feel about this, about fights like this. I would much rather see something go the distance. It generally shows me who the better fighter is. And I didn't have much doubt going into this fight. The answer to the question was Amanda Nunes. I do think she definitely proved it. And I agree with a lot of people. I don't know that there's a need for a third fight here.
You know, when I said if she can be competitive, all she really needs to do is be competitive, which is kind of a unique situation. She was not that. This was as dominant a performance as you expected the first time. And it's what you've said about those statistics that I've never seen. To be fair, I haven't seen them anywhere else. I haven't seen anybody crunch them. But you and Tony are very specific about people in fights after coming off of COVID. And over again, we see that. And this is right at the top of the game. This is pound for pound, male or female, best in the world. Every fight outside of that one, where she was coming off of COVID and a little sluggish.
I think it's
looks like a different fighter. She looked like a different fighter.
100%. 100%. You could see it right in round one.
And into round two, the difference in Amanda Nunes, it looked like a different fighter as you think back to that first fight. She had a pretty good first round in that fight, seemed kind of gassed, and came out in the second, got taken advantage of, and obviously tapped quick. This is the real Amanda Nunes. Juliana Pena, bright future, no doubt. She'll be a name to reckon with for the next few years. But Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko 3, I think is the best fight right now for the women's game.
I definitely want to see that. Shout out to Will Brand, because this fight reminded me a lot of my first fight with Will Brand. We did, Will.
Yeah.
So we did 8 rounds in our first fight, and at the end of the fight, it was a dominant performance, and I was brilliant. I was majestic, Joe. I was so great. Boom. In my youth. But everybody was like, Will, what a tough kid. Oh, God. Like the whole crowd went over to it was a Rocky type moment where the guy that lost was like, did you see that? Pena is one of the toughest human beings walking the face of the earth right now. That to take a whooping like that, and to be fair to Nunes, it looked a couple times like she didn't want to stop her and she wanted to punish her. She went to the ground by choice and not by knockdown. Like by takedown and not by knockdown. If you wanted to be on the ground and thought you could finish it that way, why not jump there after you knock her down? There were a couple times I thought I had the under, and I thought she let her off the hook a few times. Yeah. Maybe it's because I had the under, but when she was saying that afterward, I wanted to really punish her and prove I'm the best in the world. Take her soul. Well, whoo, girl. Damn.
Speaking of main events, Brandon Moreno finishes Kai Kara France in the third round to claim the interim UFC flyweight title. Hate these interim titles. This one seems extremely unnecessary. This fight kind of feels like that as well. I know a person or two who thought maybe Kai Kara France had suddenly reached elite level status in the sport and
Jason,
had a chance.
Who else? Jason Obi?
It wasn't a lot of people. Clearly, again, this is a situation where Kai Kara France, I don't know that there was much he was going to be able to do. I don't know that there was he doesn't have that level in his fight game to fight somebody like Brandon Moreno. It's unfortunate, but just how this sport shakes out. And you know, I mean, what do you got to do? You got to give these guys their title shot, especially when you got Figueiredo out. What else can you do? And you get this, and it's Jared, it seems to me like, and as someone who's been in the fight game, let me ask you your thoughts here. Like, Kai Kara France kind of knows going in, he's a long shot. Vegas knew he was a long shot. Everyone knew he was a long shot. He earned his way to this title fight. Is it, I guess like an actor, is it an honor just to be nominated? Or do you go in thinking like, I'm going to pull off this upset?
It's an honor just to be nominated.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, this is a decent human being by all accounts, but as far as a fight fan and a podcasting member of the media, I didn't care then, and I don't care anymore now.
I like that.
This is he's slightly above average. I mean, that might be a little harsh, but a title contender, an elite level fighter, I've never seen him as that. I haven't once in his career seen him like that, and I think Moreno showed us that. Just picked him apart and finished him.
So, Again, my thought is, again, sort of the idea here is that you just keep putting guys up against these champions, and so I'm thinking just a couple weeks ago, Cannonier and Adesanya, and it was like, again, I'm Jared Cannonier. It's like, dude, this is awesome, getting a big money fight against Adesanya. Went exactly like this did, like most of these go, and it's like your chances of upsetting that guy are slim and none.
Well, let me change my answer. It's an honor to be nominated against Khabib. It was an honor to be nominated against Joe Louis. These dominant champions that just I'm not going to put Mike Tyson on that list just because that was a scary dude, and being nominated for that was a green mile during his prime. But against the really great ones that are storming through everybody, when you get that opportunity, yeah, you've got to convince yourself you can win, that you have an opportunity to win. But some guys show up to lose and for a paycheck. Arturo Grady cried on the stool against Floyd Mayweather. What's the end of the fight? He walked back to his stool at the end of the round and he cried. And we knew going in his style didn't match up right, and he was going to get beat up. And he did, and there was nothing he could do, and he was just crushed about it. Our blood and guts warrior, our guy that will come up in every conversation that every knowledgeable boxing fan ever has about heart, walk back to the corner and cry. Yeah, I'd say it's an honor just to be nominated.
Well, it looks like clearly the showdown with Figueiredo for a fourth fight is clearly right around the bend. Moreno had to win this fight, which he easily did, and it puts them on a collision course for a fourth fight. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, again, you look at Max and Volk. Like, should they just keep fighting until Holloway wins? Like, what happens here?
That's part of what got me out of the game, brother. Watching Frazier and Ali, their trilogy, with a knowledgeable eye, having been in the ring. And it's one of the saddest things. This game will get you to where you can go and keep you there. Gotti Ward, Vasquez Marquez, you get to that spot and they find that if you find that guy, we're going to put some miles on. And yeah, it kind of does make sense. If that's all that's there, they're part of each other's legacy. I love Mickey Ward's quote about his movie. I don't know how you write my story. You did my life story and left Arturo Gatti out of it. I don't know how you do that.
Stipe Ngannou 3, to me, is the most necessary fight in the UFC. And again, I'm going to base this on their first fight was a 5-round domination in a big boy ring. Smaller ring, Ngannou with the second round knockout. I'd like to see them go a third time in a big ring or big octagon and settle that one. I feel like that's one of the, like, for some reason Stipe lost it. Everybody was like, he's out. That's very dismissive of a champion. For no, and I understand Dana doesn't like him, but just even the fans, it's like everybody wants John Jones.
Who?
Or any other heavyweight.
You can't dismiss Tom Aspinall here. Let's not just completely dismiss him. And Cyril Gahn. Let's be fair. He won a round or two, right?
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to either one of those guys against going Gahn.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We still got UFC Fight Night. Thiago Santos versus Jamal Hill. We'll do that tail of the tape. Also, Virgil Ortiz Jr., undefeated, takes on undefeated Michael McKinson on DAZN. We'll preview that. Jared's got a very special flurry. And next, we've got a really cool Who You Got. It works out that Jace isn't here. He actually put it together It's the Who You Got. Jared versus Joe. We'll explain it next.
There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All right, here it is. It's the Who You Got. It's Jared versus Joe. We each get to pick a fighter that would represent us in the ring. Now, you and I actually talked earlier tonight and decided to modify this even. We were going to pick a fighter who reminds each guy of the other. I'm going to let you start. What fighter would you say represents you in the ring?
Well, here's a spoiler alert. My Who You Got, my Fight of the Night, and my Puncher's Chance are all the same guy. Now, this guy fought a multitude of undefeated fighters. And if I gave you the pound for pound top 500 list and 100 guesses, I'm not sure you would say this. A lot of undefeated fighters on his record, a lot of tough guys, didn't get any baby gloves. Shortest story ever written is for sale baby shoes never worn. Ernest Hemingway. This guy never wore his baby shoes. A lot of undefeated fighters on his record and came away with a couple draws early in his career. Now, the thing about this guy is he outboxed everybody. Technically, he's so sound, but when he gets jammed, there's too much dog in him. And you think about the two losses on Maurice Hooker's record to Ramirez, who he was outpointing and got stopped late fighting. And the only way he was actually going to lose the fight, he was drawn into that fight and lost. And then Ortiz Jr., let's be fair, he lost more rounds than he won, but there were times when he outboxed a kid I've never seen outboxed before. He hit Ortiz Jr. harder than I've ever seen him hit before. And if he ever puts it all together, can he outbox all of those guys and win all of those fights? The answer is yes. He just keeps getting drawn out a little bit. There's too much dog in him. Got to keep his head on straight. And when he does, he is literally one of the best in the game. Who you got? Maurice Hooker, most like me. Puncher's Chance, Maurice Hooker minus 220 over Blair Cobbs. And Fight of the Night, Blair Cobbs is a dog, too.
All right. As we had modified this, which fighter represents me in the ring?
I'm going to talk about a guy that was supposed to go away, that had his glory and was supposed to go away and kept modifying his attack, his strategy, updating it for a modern game. Man, excuse me. My boy, Joe, I love you, man. Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins. The versatility and just the ability to adapt and grow with the things that were thrown at him in a way that you watch the game outgrow people all the time. The greatest fighters among us are just outgrown by the game. Chuck Liddell, Tyson, Ali, the greatest. outgrown by the game. And in a time when you're in the field of technology and it's growing so rapidly, and you've taken some of the hits you have, to keep finding a way to win, it's inspiring. And you're going to keep doing it, just like B-Hop, longer than anybody else. Amen.
I love that. That's awesome. All right. Who you got representing me in the ring? My very initial thought when I read this was Tom Aspinall. Because like Tom, I would be knocked out in 15 seconds. Just go right to the ground, clutching my knee. Fight's over.
Blow the whistle.
Then I thought on it a little bit, and I thought, who would represent me in the ring? What kind of fighter would I be if I was to be in a fight? And I thought about the perfect guy, Nate Diaz. I love everything about that. First of all, I could take a punch. You know? I've been hit before. I've been down and out, no quit. That's Nate Diaz. Also, if I'm doing well, you'll know it. I could be a little arrogant.
Bat flips for walks. I've seen it myself.
And if I was beating somebody's ass, there's a good chance I would throw some version of a slap just for the humiliation factor. So to me, throwing the weed, it's got to be Nate Diaz.
I respect that.
Now, for you, I've actually come up with 3 different fighters. 2 are boxers and 1 is an MMA guy. And I'm going to start with the boxers. The first guy is Tyson Fury, because you're bald. Just kidding. It's because you're supremely confident, you're very intelligent, and your psychological game is on par with that master.
Wow,
you're good.
I respect that.
Here's the second guy, Bud Crawford. An amazing human being, an amazing fighter, an amazing father. I don't know a lot of people that are all 3 of those. That's something else. Last guy, Max Holloway. Heart of gold. And the respect of everybody who you come across. That's a rare thing. And I was just talking to the class I teach the other day. You know, I remember I sent you guys the video, the Ortega Holloway. That in the middle of the hellacious beating that Max Holloway was putting on Brian Ortega, where he destroyed his orbital bone and put Ortega out of business for 18 months. There's a point in the 4th round where Max sort of stops the fight for a minute, and he takes Ortega's hands and he positions them and then slowly throws the left right so Ortega can block him. Like, dude, I'm going to keep throwing this. Put your hands up. I don't want to hurt you anymore. That was in a championship fight. I can't imagine a lot of people would do something like Jared. I would bet you'd be one of them.
Well, I guess my response to that is I'm trying to build a place where people can experience the fight game like that, where they're not all championship fights. And that's one of the issues is you have to take that out. This is a business. Khabib did one of those with just engaging. You've seen it a couple times. There's compilations of guys pointing to the ref. There was an Asian guy in an MMA fight that rocked the guy so many times so bad that he just backed up and squatted down and tapped on the mat and tapped himself out of the fight. What is this guy doing? I can't. I'm a fighter and I'm also a human being. And the way my priorities are set up, I'll take all 3 of those. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I put a little thought into that, my man.
Yeah.
I love you too. All right, listen, we're going to take one more quick break. Got some really great sponsors. One last break, and then we'll get into both of our big fight previews. Again, Thiago Santos versus Jamal Hill in UFC Fight Night. And then over on DAZN, undefeated fighters, Virgil Ortiz Jr., 18-0, 18 knockouts against Michael McKinnison, who is 22-0 with 2 knockouts. I think we're going to be talking about the power coming up right after this.
We can expect another wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you don't have your home serviced for mosquito control and you find you're spending most of your outside time swatting those little pests, or you did have your yard sprayed but you still have bites all over your body, you're in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. All mosquito control service is not the same. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product, one-size-fits-all service program. You can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. The promise has awarded them an industry-leading customer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCNCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade DeCesare and enjoy the rest of the summer mosquito-free. Tonight, the UFC returns to the Apex in Las Vegas for UFC on ESPN 40, featuring a light heavyweight fight in the main event between Thiago Santos and Jamal Hill. Let's break it down. Thiago Santos is 38 foot 2 with a 76-inch reach and a record of 22-10 with 15 knockouts. From Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Santos was born into extreme poverty, taking up capoeira and Muay Thai to defend himself as he lived in the most dangerous part of the city. After serving as a paratrooper in the Brazilian army, he made his MMA debut on October 10, 2010 with a unanimous decision. He quickly went 8-1 with 6 stoppages, including a first-round knockout of Vicente Luque, before making his UFC debut, losing to Cesar Ferreira via guillotine choke. After losing by decision to Uriah Hall, he went on a 5-fight winning streak with brutal knockouts over Steve Bossie and Nate Marquardt before dropping 2 in a row, a first-round knockout loss to Gerard Mousasi and a first-round submission to Eric Spicely. He bounced back 5 months later, scoring a spectacular spinning wheel kick knockout of Jack Marshman and followed that up with vicious knockouts over contenders Gerald Marichart, Jack Hermanson, and Anthony Smith. After suffering a first-round knockout to David Branch, he went on another 4-fight tear with a decision over Kevin Holland, followed by a TKO of Eric Anders and a brutal left hook knockout of Jimmy Manoa. On February 23rd, 2019, he headlined UFC Fight Night, engaging in a highly tactical and exciting fight with Jan Blachowicz before catching the future light heavyweight champion with a left hook as he rushed in and finished him off with ground and pound. 5 months later, he got his first shot at a title, taking on all-time great John Jones in an exciting back-and-forth fight, and despite losing by a split decision, he became the first fighter to win a scorecard against Jones. Following the fight, he underwent double knee surgery as he sustained a torn ACL, PCL, meniscus, and cracked tibia. After recovering from a bout of COVID-19, he took on #1 contender Glover Teixeira in another exciting brawl, and despite almost finishing Teixeira a couple of times, he lost via rear naked choke in round 3. 6 months later, he dropped a unanimous decision to Alexander Rakic in a fairly lackluster fight. In October of 2021, he ended his 3-fight skid with a tentative and cautious victory over Johnny Walker. However, on March 12, 2022, he took on rising prospect Magomed Ankalaev, getting both outstruck and outwrestled en route to a unanimous decision loss. A well-rounded and technically proficient striker, Santos has an exceptionally high ring IQ and possesses explosive power in both his kicks and punches. Jamal Hill is 31 years old. He's 6'4" with a 79-inch reach and a record of 10-1-1 with 6 knockouts. From Grand Rapids, Michigan, by way of Chicago, Hill, a natural athlete, passed up on a potential career in basketball while attending Davenport University in order to pursue a career in MMA, making his professional debut in September of 2017 with a unanimous decision over Alex Davidson. He then won his next 4 with 2 knockouts before getting invited to compete on Dana White's Contender Series 21, earning his UFC contract with a 3rd-round knockout of Alexander Popek. He followed that up with a unanimous decision over Darko Stoisic, and in May of 2020 scored a 1st-round knockout of Kilton Abreu, which was later overturned to a no contest after Hill failed a post-fight drug test. He returned 7 months later, taking on Ovince St. Preux, stopping the UFC veteran in round 2 with a barrage of punches. The following year, he suffered his first loss to Scotland's Paul Craig, getting taken down early in the first round and then having his left arm snapped in an armbar while absorbing punches and elbows before the referee finally called a halt to the action. He bounced back just 6 months later, blowing out Jimmy Crute 48 seconds into the first round with an explosive one-punch counter right hook. And on February 19, 2022, he headlined for the first time, scoring a savage first-round knockout of Johnny Walker, dropping him with a right to the temple, followed by a 1-2 as he fell awkwardly against the cage. A dangerous southpaw who can move fluidly between stances, Hill uses his height and reach well to pick off his opponents at distance, landing his unorthodox shots from seemingly any angle. Will the technical proficiency and years of experience against the very best be enough for Santos to prove that he still belongs among the best at light heavyweight? Or will the devastating power and unorthodox style of Hill be too much for the veteran as he continues his rise to the top of the division? Tune in Saturday night to UFC Fight Night Santos versus Hill, and let's find out.
All right, Jared, Thiago Santos has lost 4 of his last 5. He's achieved gatekeeper status, a great career, nothing to be ashamed of, but this guy comes into the fight, Jamal Hill, 10-1. Boy, turned poor Johnny Walker into a meme. It feels to me like
The sleep.
Yeah, it feels to me like this is pretty well set up for Jamal Hill to step up into the big boys.
Oh yeah, yeah. These guys both beat Johnny the Sleepwalker. Anklev, I'm pretty excited about. I think Santos loses. I guess he's a gatekeeper, but he's not winning this fight. Don't take Santos. That plus 300 or whatever it is might be enticing. This is Jamal Hill.
It's got to be Jamal Hill.
I really hope so, or it's neither. Because it's not Santos. It's not Santos anymore. We were just talking about Bernard Hopkins and how he had that very unique rise during a time when the game was outgrowing all of the people on his level. All of his peers were being outgrown by the game. This is one of the guys being outgrown by the game. Santos, that doesn't work anymore. You can't just walk people down and throw 8 big shots per round and just stop people with aggression, athleticism. You gotta understand the game. And this Hill kid is a hybrid fighter. He understands all facets of the game, and there's nowhere Santos is better than him. It's literally a puncher's chance for Thiago Santos. And he's ranked better, 6 versus 10. So Hill's taking that spot.
I was just gonna say this is for flipping spots with Santos, pretty much. And again, if he could blow Santos out, put himself, just outside the top 5, with an impressive enough performance here, Hill could see himself in a title fight sometime next year.
Oh yeah, it's one of the only guys to be excited about in the division. Who else do you want to see?
That is very true. Yeah. Well, again, we've been kind of hoping for some new blood here, and I think
Ankalev, Prohashka's the champ. I like him. Teixeira, Blachowicz, Rakic. These guys are Anthony Smith and Santos and Dominic Reyes. They've been around forever.
Yep.
Ozdemir, Paul Craig, Jamal Hill. Those are the guys I want to see. There you go.
Well, it is there for the taking for Jamal Hill, so we shall see.
And Prohashka beats either one of these guys.
I would think so. All right. There is another fight. Big one this weekend. Tony didn't do a tail of the tape for this one. I took it upon myself. It's a slightly abridged version, still pretty solid though. big fight between Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Michael McKinson, the battle of the unbeatens. Here's the tale of the tape. Nine championship boxer returns to the Dickies Arena in Texas, featuring a welterweight fight between undefeated fighters Michael McKinson and Virgil Ortiz Jr. Let's break it down. Michael McKinson is 28 years old. He's 5'9" with a 79-inch reach. He's 22-0 with 2 knockouts. From Portsmouth, Hampshire, England, McKinson is trained by his father, Michael Ballingall, who also trains his younger brother, Lucas, a professional boxer in the lightweight division. McKinson made his professional debut in October 2014 with a decision win. In April of 2017, he won the vacant WBC Youth Welterweight title and picked up the vacant WBC Silver International Welterweight title with a TKO over Colin Lines. After 4 title defenses, McKinson won the vacant WBO European Welterweight title with a unanimous decision over Evgeny Popko. In January of 2021, he won the WBO Global Welterweight title with a decision victory over Chris Congo. A slightly awkward southpaw with a high boxing IQ, the problem likes to keep the fight in the center of the ring and to control the distance. Virgil Ortiz Jr. is 24 years old. He's 5'10" with a 72-inch reach and a record of 18-0, all by way of knockout. From Grand Prairie, Texas, Ortiz was victorious in his first 6 fights, winning all 6 by stoppage and only going past the first round in 1 of those 6 fights. His 7th bout came September 16, 2017 on the undercard of Canelo versus Triple G against Cesar Valenzuela, which he won by second round technical knockout. After improving to 11-0, Ortiz appeared a year later on the undercard of Canelo vs. Triple G2 to face Robert Ortiz. In August of 2019, he picked up the vacant WBA Gold Welterweight title over Antonio Orozco. He defended that belt twice with KOs of Brad Solomon and Samuel Vargas. In March of 2021, he took his first step up in competition with a 7th-round TKO over former champion Maurice Hooker, taking home the vacant WBO International Welterweight title, and in August of 2021, defended that title against Egidius Kavasilakis, who became Ortiz's first opponent to last longer than 7 rounds, but in that time suffered 5 knockdowns as Ortiz won by 8th-round technical knockout. A dynamic power puncher with dynamite in both hands, especially his right cross, Ortiz has both the ability to put an opponent out with 1 shot, as well as the footwork to set up his power shots. He's also very economical with his punches, preferring short, accurate bursts to wild combinations. Can McKinson be the problem Ortiz can't solve? Or will the speed and power of Ortiz be too much as he continues his meteoric rise and keeps his knockout rate intact at 100%? Tune in Saturday night for McKinson versus Ortiz Jr., and let's find out. Having gone through your guy Virgil Ortiz Jr.'s fights, I got to tell you, he hits hard, he hits fast, he's accurate, the footwork is off the charts, dynamite in both hands. The guy he's fighting, Michael McKinson, is also undefeated, but he's scored 2 knockouts in his career. I think when you get to a certain level in this sport, if you can't bring the thunder, you're going to have a really hard time winning championship caliber fights.
So 11% knockout ratio?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, I got to tell you, dude. When I saw that.
9. No, it's 9.
Oh, it's 9?
9.
I don't think
I've
never seen a knockout rate so low. I was rather stunned by that.
Well, and it means you can't help but think about the mileage. You know, you think about a banger like Ortiz trading shots to get his off so that he can get that 100% knockout ratio, 9% knockout ratio, and you're going 4 rounds for 10 fights or 8 fights and then 6 rounds. And now you've been 10 rounds for your last 8 fights and don't have any stoppages. All decision wins. 8 fights, 10 rounds.
Every fight he's had since 2017 has gone the distance. That's
which
crazy.
means 80 rounds. 2017. Just some quick math here. Way more fights for Ortiz. Wow. And 1, 2, 5. Yeah. No. Not. Yeah. A third of the rounds. That's got to count for something when it comes to mileage. If you're going 10 rounds every fight, 8 fights in a row, this guy hasn't been stopped, but I think he gets stopped here. Ortiz is just, this guy's a buzzsaw, man.
Yeah, it's funny in thinking about McKinson. His father is a trainer. His brother is a fighter. It's a boxing family. I think this is a kid he's got some talent because he works hard. He's been doing it his whole life. I don't think he's naturally powerful. He supposedly has a high ring IQ. Again, I don't think it's instinctual. I think it's very much learned just by virtue of, again, I think you could be a guy without natural talent and really learn and craft yourself to be good. But again, the lack of natural power's got to be hurting him. But I think, he knows how to fight. So it's an interesting dynamic. I think your guy's just too fast and too strong.
Oh, yeah. This has been my guy for years. A little callback comedy. I hope McKinnison finds it an honor just to be nominated. The thing is that this is the right next step for Ortiz Jr. If you know any of these guys, Mauricio Herrera, dog, will get in there and trade with you, finished in 2 rounds. Antonio Orozco, dog, will fight with you. 6 rounds he lasted. Brad Solomon, dog, out in 5. Sammy Vargas, dog, out in 7. Mo Hooker, we already talked about him several times in this show. His last fight, you could pronounce it better than I. Kavalakis. Yeah,
Kavalakis.
Bless you. And then, so these are all guys that are going to come straight forward and fight with you, like kind of a boxer puncher granted with a 9% knockout ratio, but it's the right next step for Ortiz to see if somebody gets in there and outboxes him and frustrates him. You don't want him he got outboxed for a round or two. Mo Hooker, I thought, won a round or 2 against him. I thought it was his first time losing rounds. So if McKinson can win rounds, that's what we're looking for here, is how he deals with being frustrated by a boxer. If he outboxes this guy, it'll be over early. We're looking at Beterbiev, Joe Smith Jr. Remember I said that. If McKinson tries to fight with him or can't outbox him, this will end fast. The over-under is like a coin toss, too. -120 for 8.5 rounds. This guy hasn't fought anybody like Ortiz Jr., and you're about to find out. If you don't know now, you know.
Yes, sir. All right. I'm excited
for Congo. Is Chris Congo the hardest puncher you faced so far? Chris Congo?
Yeah.
And it was 6-4, 6-4, 7-3. He won some rounds. Do you know what Ortiz Jr. would do to Chris Congo? Yikes. Those are 2 completely different classes. If he's winning rounds, take that under. This is Ortiz Jr.
Yeah, it very much seems like McKinson, I'm telling you, I think he's just good enough of a boxer that he's able to win just enough of the rounds. I don't think he's out there blowing anybody out. It's a scrappy dude, but yeah, I think, it's funny. Ortiz is starting to, since Maurice Hooker, fight a better caliber of fighter, and I feel like if you're Michael McKinson, I think this is a little over your head territory.
It's been 2017 since he knocked somebody out. But actually, since he won all the rounds on a scorecard, was over in Britain where only the ref scores the fight. It was 6-0 against Dwayne Green, who was 4 wins, 22 losses, and 4 draws at the time. It was the last time he won every round. So you're right. He's losing rounds to everybody. There's a guy 4-8 here, and the ref had it 5-1. But
22-0, he comes into this fight, and I'm sure he thinks he's really good. He's got to 22-0. Like, I'm the man. He's got to be feeling that way. Yeah.
Those two knockouts, though, how did that? I want to know if it's like a twisted ankle or a corner stoppage. Samuels retired suffering a torn bicep. I found one of them.
Is that one of them?
5 and 6, Jerome Samuels retired after the third round of a 4-round fight because he suffered a torn bicep. Okay, and Colin Lyons, 39 and 11, been stopped 4 times already. Stopped by body shots. This guy just can't punch, and he's in there with one of the best punches in the game. This guy reminds me of Julian Jackson, like Beterbiev, like guys that hard punchers that when they hit people and you're like, oh, geez, that's a different thing than the other guy's doing. And that's what it's going to look like Saturday night. 2 guys doing totally different things. I don't know what game that guy's playing, but this other one looks like he's boxing. And it's about to get dangerous because they're doing different things, different leagues. No way.
My thought is he's going down. He's going to blow him out early. I wonder if this kid, again, high ring IQ from a boxing family, is he good enough to get out of the first round without getting absolutely rocked?
Yes. Yeah. I think that he's going to be durable and tough. You know, father's a fighter, like you said, runs in the family. He's not just going to go away. I think it'll take a few rounds, but he's going to have to not fight. He's going to have to run. It's what I said about Joe Smith. As soon as he decides to fight, and to Joe Smith credit, he came out in round 1 and did what the fans wanted him to do. That wasn't in your best interest. Is he out of the hospital yet? But at the end of the day, it made for some entertaining stuff, and it comes down to when is this kid going to want to fight? Could he pick and poke and grab and Floyd Mayweather his way through 10 rounds and win 2 of them? Maybe, but I doubt it. Ortiz gets to this kid. Buzzsaw. He walks through people. Everybody you have ever heard me talk about like this, only one of them has ever suffered a loss since we started doing the show. It was Cyril Gahn against Ngannou. If that's not a respectable loss, there isn't one on the planet. And this guy is as serious as all of those guys I keep talking up and girls. Shout out to Savannah Marshall, who's going to whoop Clarissa Shields.
I feel like Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Fields are people that you know. They're not even fighters. They're just 2 women who have some beef over a dude. And one like that's what it feels like to me when you speak about them. I enjoy that a lot. You already mentioned your fight of the night. You said the Maurice Hooker fight. As I scan through this UFC fight night card, pretty solid co-main event. Vicente Luque and Jeff Neal. That'll be a really cool fight. Couple of heavyweights. Mohammed Usman, 8-2, versus Zach Pauga, who's 6-0. I like that. A couple of bangers and another big heavyweight fight. Augusto Sakai and Sergey Spivak. It's going to be a pretty solid card. And again, should be, if all things go the way I think they're going to go, Jamal Hill's coming out party.
Let's hope so. For the sake of MMA and fans and
I'll tell you what the UFC
not named Thiago Santos.
What the UFC doesn't need is for Jamal Hill to suffer an injury inside the first minute and a half and the fight doesn't continue, because they've had some poor luck when it comes to these fight nights of late.
3 in a row, 3 fights in a minute and a half, all just anticlimactic on what were otherwise good cards.
Yeah, great. Honestly, I was just saying the other day to somebody, those cards were so good that the letdown main events, it was all right. It wasn't a super hugely disappointing night. That's how good all the fights were leading up to it. You don't want to chance that again. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
You know, looks like a good card, but you never know. All right, that is going to do it for us for this week. We'll have, obviously, Jared will finish it off with the flurry like he does each and every week. Big J should be back next week. Make sure you check us out on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on the YouTubes. We're pretty much everywhere you're looking on social media. Look under Throwing Jabs. We're also at clovercrestmedia.com/Throwing Jabs. You can find us also on the audio podcast on all the different apps, iTunes, Spotify, the whole nine, wherever you get podcasts. Just search for Throwing Jabs. All right, Jared, I'm gonna step aside and finish it off like you do with that flurry.
Oh, man. So my wife and I have been together for a decade come August 8th. And the 3rd was our 4-year wedding anniversary 2 days ago. So we went out to McCook Point Beach and listened to some music. There was a concert on the beach. Ate some good food, listened to some music, and then we started wandering up across a soccer field that kids used to play on when I was younger. I was showing her all the different stuff that, of course, wasn't as much to her as it was to me, but that's how nostalgia works. And when you're married, you walk through it with that person, you know, and it's kind of it's one of those moments that we're sharing. And we get up to the top of the hill and there's just this beautiful sunset. And we climb up on the stump of this tree that I used to sit under. I was, people that know me really well know I was extensively bullied, and this beach is one of the places we hang out when I was a kid. So I went and sat under this tree, and I was almost mourning the loss of this tree that was now a stump. They had taken it down, and stood up on the stump, and Erica came up there with me, and we just held each other and we kissed, and it was beautiful. And then somebody said, "Hey." And I looked over, and a guy had walked all the way across that field. Go ahead, run that, Joe. This is Tom. And that's Tom's car. If you look there on the left at the lights, Tom saw us up there on the stump and walked all the way over there so he could come and take our picture and create that, help us manifest that moment. It took him some time. It took him some energy. And I'm really grateful for the random act of kindness from some guy named Tom in East Lyme, because the moment he ended up creating was a beautiful thing. And we should all aspire to be more like Tom. Thanks, guys.
Throwing jabs, always full send. Here we go again. Jared, Joe, and Jay's Clovercrest, top 3 corner man. Punching in with a puncher's chance. We find a way to win. The main event, locked it in. Every Saturday at 10. The overhand is out of hand when it comes to fisticuffs. Slide a hand on the undercard, you'll never see the punch. Uppercut got you missing weight, feet are stepping late. Keep your guard up, feeling faint from a feint. Take a stand and eight, then retaliate. Put up your duke, stick and move, bob and weave. Don't lose hope against the ropes, there's always an escape. Never stay down. One more round, bells ringing. Counter punch with your chin tucked and go down swinging. We bringing crosses with no worship, hooks with no verses, combinations with no locks. When you feel the flurry, it's curtains. From scrub scraps to fight stats, relax if you want the facts, cause the best combat podcast is Throwing Jabs.
Hi everyone, I'm Owen Muniz, host of the All 4 Downs podcast. Football season is near and we have the podcast for you. Subscribe and follow the YouTube channel for insights on picks, sports betting, on all NFL, college football, and the upcoming XFL games. It's All 4 Downs. Presented by Clovercrest Media.